Okay.
Right, in a horror film, what about a location makes it most scary to you?
I think classically isolated locations are the most effective in terms of generating scares. I think it's got to be connected in some way to the antagonist. So whether it is an environment that is their home that feels creepy because they've got bits of their paraphernalia around. So I don't know, if you look back at things like Tobe Hooper films, for example, where the mise en scène establishes part of the character in some ways, that can work really effectively. I also think that in more recent times, I think having just sort of blank locations or modern locations can work really, really well. It's what's made sort of Japanese and Tartan Asia extreme films successful, is that idea that modern locations can still feel isolated and scary even though they are fairly new developments.
Yeah, definitely. And say for example, in an opening sequence of a horror film, what do you think needs to be included to fit the genre?
Well, you've got to introduce your protagonist in a way that doesn't feel forced, I think. I think also you've just got to make it believable in some ways. I think my biggest criticism of contemporary horror is that often the narrative is so contrived that you can tell what's going to happen because it just fits that same sort of formulaic horror narrative. And so if you don't establish that your film is different within the first 20 minutes, you're going to lose me, because I've seen a lot of horror films. So it's got to feel different for me personally.
Yeah. And nowadays, do you think horror films should be more realistic or still based on the supernatural idea?
I think you can I don't think they're mutually exclusive. I think you can do both at the same time. You just got to be careful about how you do that. I mean, you know, Blair Witch is a case in point. It's supposed to feel like realism, even though it's based around something that's supernatural. Yeah.
Yeah.
And found footage horror films are all about that. They're supposed to feel like realism.
And have you seen any horror films recently that you've liked the look of and think that we could perhaps include aspects of them inside?
It's not technically a horror, I suppose it's more of a thriller, but 10 Cloverfield is phenomenal. In terms of mise en scène and establishing character, and character who is sinister, I would definitely recommend that. Especially if you're trying to create that sense of it being a thriller rather than a horror genre, which I think potentially, from the sound of your idea, that's what you're trying to create.
And in post-production, such as editing, is there anything that we should perhaps include in that?
Well, it's got to be all about pace and how you use your sound effectively, I would say. And they're going to be vital to the way that you communicate mood and tone. And if you're putting jump scares in, you're not going to put a jump scare in without having effective sound work.
Yeah, I agree. And finally, in a horror film, what scares you the most?
Not jump scares, ironically. Don't find them scary. It's all about mood and tone and environment. I'd much rather watch a film that pulls me in terms of the whole tone of the film than a cheap 5-second jump. I think anyone can do that. It takes a real master to make you scared all the way through, because you don't want to be in the environment of the film for the whole length of the film.
Oh, well, thank you for the interview.
You're welcome.